prophesies to play a prominent role in Ragnarok, and in turn the destruction of the gods that ruled over the Norse Pantheon, this great wolf was chained to a rock, destined to remain there for an eternity. So, what is the fate of this furry beast? Which happens to be what my wife calls my... Anyway, let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to Pantheon Mythology. Today we'll be looking at the background and legend of the wolf giant god Fenrir. Imagine for me, if you will, a very large wolf with a mouth so big it's able to touch both the sky and the ground when wide open. This, ladies and gentlemen, gives an idea of the scale of being we're dealing with here. Fenrir, however, was not born this size, of course, so let's rewind a little and go back to his origins. One of 3 children born from the union between the trickster god Loki and giantess Angerboda, Fenrir was destined to have a less than pleasant life. A prophecy warned the king and ruler of Asgard, Odin, that the offspring of Loki and his giantess wife would be troublesome for the Aesir gods and the realms they ruled, and not want to stand idly by and let the prophecy play out foretold, Odin took action. The 3 siblings, living in harmony with their mother in the land of the giants, Jotunheim, were taken and dealt with. The serpent Jormungandr tossed into the sea, Hel, half girl, half decomposing corpse, sent to the dark realm, the Norse underworld Niflheim, and our little pup Fenrir taken to be kept as a pet by the gods. Can I just say, what amazing genetics Loki and Angerboda must have had to create such a variety of children. A serpent, a half-corpse girl, a wolf. Fascinating. Fenrir did not remain a little pup for long though, and his rate of growth became alarming. The gods grew to fear the wolf, and in time, only the Norse god of war had the courage to feed him, which in turn led to somewhat of a friendship between the two. With his rate of growth seemingly unstoppable, it became apparent to Odin and his fellow deities that something had to be done, as the words of the prophecy still lingered in their minds. Therefore, it was decided they would bind him. They invite Fenrir to a contest of strength, telling him they don't believe he has the might to break free of the chain they would bind him with. Confident and cocky, Fenrir allows himself to be chained before easily breaking free, no doubt followed by some extreme flexing. The gods then forge a stronger chain called Dromi, but again, Fenrir breaks these chains with little trouble, cause he's buff. Despite being a good companion, living peacefully with the gods and causing no trouble at all, Odin was determined to bind Fenrir at all costs, so called upon the dwarves to assist. As masters of the forge, they accepted this request and created the ultimate chain, known as the Gleipnir. This was no ordinary fetter though. Steel, titanium, we're talking a chain made of 6 elements: a cat's footsteps, a woman's beard, mountain roots, sinews of bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. For the 3rd time, Fenrir was invited to test his strength, on this occasion on the island of Lyngvi. These binds, however, looked different to the previous, and the wolf, rightly, was suspicious of foul play. He agrees, but on the condition that one of the deities present places a hand in his mouth throughout the ordeal. Silence and hesitation sweep across the Aesir gods as Tumbleweed drifts across the background before Tyr, his friend, volunteers himself, seeing this act as a necessity for the greater good. With the war god's hand now in his mouth, let's hope he washed it first, Fenrir uses all his strength to try and break free. However, the harder he struggles, the tighter the binds become. Knowing he is trapped, he snaps his mouth shut, dismembering the hand of Tyr, howling in pain and sadness of this betrayal. A sword is forced upright into his mouth to keep it ajar, thus disabling the capacity to use his massive mouth to try and break the Gleipnir. Fenrir is then fastened to a rock and left to rot on the island of Lyngvi, but not before his sons, Skoll and Hati, attempt to free him unsuccessfully, as they are caught and imprisoned by Odin. Fenrir would remain on this island alone until the dawn of Ragnarok, when his sons would devour the sun and moon and begin the events that would bring an end to the rule of the Aesir gods. At this moment, the Great Wolf breaks free from the binds that have imprisoned him, charges forward, jaw open, touching the sky above and the ground below, and swallows everything in his path before confronting and eating Odin. Sweet, sweet revenge. Unfortunately, Fenrir would meet his own end at the hands of Odin's other, less popular son, Vidar, who ripped his mouth open. But still, when he finally eliminated Odin and got retribution, I like to think he felt blissful, if just for a brief moment. It's easy to see Fenrir as the villain in Norse mythology, as he was responsible for the death of the All-Father and from this played a leading role in the events of Ragnarok. We must remember though that he was taken from his mother as a youth, then bound to a rock by those that took him through no fault of his. It's interesting to think what would have happened if Odin had simply ignored the prophecy. Would the events of Ragnarok have played out? Of course, we'll never know as it was never written. But what are your thoughts? Were Fenrir's acts justified? How would you have reacted if you were in his shoes, or paws in this case?
If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, as it really helps the channel, and subscribe if you're new here. Also, why not check out our clothing brand, Pantheon Apparel? You'll find clothing inspired by all things mythology, and of course, the star of today's video. We ship worldwide and are rated excellent on Trustpilot. You'll find a link in the description below. Tap on the video on the left here to watch a video that YouTube has chosen for you, and on the right here is our binge playlist, if you fancy a binge. But most important of all, thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.